I don't care how depressed you are. Let's say a parent is depressed right now and their child is about to die in front of them. Are they going to sit there and say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm depressed and I'll just let my child die? Or they're going to spring into protection mode? They're going to protect their child. Where's your depression gone in that moment? Gone. Why? Because your focus shift. It's the same for people out there. You can sit there and go, woe me, look at me, my life's a mess. Or you could change your focus and go and do something about it. But people don't want to hear that because it's much easier to say I'm depressed. It's much easier to say I'm low. It's much easier to say that my life is bad. It's so much easier to blame than it is to take responsibility. And that's why most people are stuck. If you're born poor, it's definitely not your fault. If you die poor, it's a choice. You get to choose. In modern society, like in the UK, for example, how can you possibly go broke? How? There is so much money. We're in London at the moment. There's money everywhere, absolutely everywhere. How can you possibly go broke in a country where you have resources in abundance? You've got the internet, you can get startup loans for a company, you can get grants, you can get funding, you can get technology, it's given to you on a plate, literally. All you got to do is work. Most people don't want to work. So then they'll stay poor and then they'll point fingers at you and me and go, look at you, it's easy for you, blah, 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 blah. Choices.
On today's episode, Jessen James, an award-winning international speaker, serial entrepreneur, and business mentor. Jessen.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
I've been looking forward to this conversation.
I know. It's been a while.
I know, but we made it happen.
Thank you for your patience.
Here you are. Thank you so much. So if I asked you to sum up your life philosophy for me in one sentence, what would you tell me?
Gosh, I think my team will know this one as well. It's everything's beautiful just the way it is. That's it. Everything. Good, bad, ugly, the whole lot. It's all meant to happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. Don't struggle with things that don't need
changing. It's acceptance, isn't it? I think people don't accept what's going on in the world. And rather than look at the lesson in it, they look at the problem in it. So everything's beautiful just the way it is. If you're not meant to get that deal, you're not meant to get that deal. That was the way it's meant to be, And it's not easy to digest that. I'm not saying it's easy to digest. I just know that there's a lot of people out there, unfortunately, who are saying life is happening to them rather than for them. But if you can understand everything's meant to happen the way it's meant to happen, then it's all good.
Definitely agree. So tell me a little bit more about your journey. So you started your first business when you were 24. It was tiling?
Yeah. Well, technically, I started my first business when I was 11.
Oh, okay. Plot twist. Tell me about that.
So I went to Mauritius. Like, my family's from Mauritius. I was born in the UK, but went to Mauritius for the first family holiday. And they used to have these little Chinese firecrackers, like little fireworks. And I stole some from Mauritius and put it in my mum's suitcase, smuggled it into the UK. If anyone's watching, don't report me.
Is that even legal?
I don't want to talk about it. Let's cut this bit off. I did that. And then I sold them in school to the other kids.
You were one of those hustler
guys. And then it was all going well, but then someone threw them off the top of a double-decker bus when and then he was wearing his uniform, so they knew which school it was, and then he told them who his dealer was, and then I got in trouble. So that business got shut down. But then I went on to selling sweets and snacks and stuff. I just loved entrepreneurship, But my first proper business was when I was 24 years old, when I first qualified from university.
And tell me about that, because I know you went into that business and then fast forward a year in, you were in debt. The business
3 months.
3 months.
Yeah.
3 months.
So I mean, bit of context for your listeners. I actually qualified at university as a psychiatric nurse, but I was always fascinated by entrepreneurship, as you know, as a kid. So, but no one really teaches you that. So I thought, you know what, before I go into working as a nurse, let's just give it a go, one more go. And a friend of mine presented this idea of, importing goods from China and setting up a store. And I thought, it sounds great, I'll do it. And we did it. And I was 24 years old. I lost £65,000 in 3 months. And,
wow. Imagine £65,000 that you didn't necessarily have.
No. I had to beg, borrow, steal. I was already in debt. I was out of university, right? I mean, most people are in university, you come out of university in debt anyway. So it sucked. It wasn't cool. But I went into work and I carried on working as a nurse, after that. So
and you did that for about how long?
I did that for, I'd say in the hospital. And again, everything's beautiful just the way it is. I worked in a hospital till about 2000. 2009 in a private sector. And in the private hospitals, you climb the ranks really quickly. So I became the youngest ward manager in the UK at 27 years old. By that point, I was making good money, but I was also making them good money because you get sales targets when you're a ward manager. It's really weird because I was still a nurse. I was still looking after patients, looking after my team, but I had to sell beds to the NHS. I made, I think it's over £6.5 million for them.
Wow.
In 2 years.
For them?
For them. Yeah. Selling.
What did that translate to for you?
I don't know, what, 50 grand salary and a company car, I think. That's what I used to get, so, but I was entrepreneurial. So I didn't look at it as I'm doing it for them. It was like I was an entrepreneur, if that makes any sense. But yeah, 2009, end of the last recession. My employer told me they don't need me anymore and my job was
Even
gone.
with all that money you were making them?
Yeah, I think for them, they just went into panic mode because they were a big organization and they thought, well, who can we cut out? Someone else, it later transpired that someone else went for my job at a lower pay, whatever. It is what it is.
So what was going on in your mind then? And what did you decide to do?
I was confused because I was like, business didn't work. Job didn't work. I've been lied to. What do I do? And I was confused. If I'm very honest, I was confused. But I did make a commitment that day I lost my job. And I thought, you know what? I'm not going to work for anyone anymore. I did realize that nothing in life is secure unless you secure it yourself. You've got to take advantage of what's going on. You've got to take responsibility. You've got to accept. So I thought, you know what? No one's coming to save me at all. So if I'm going to take a risk, having a job is a risk, being in business they're both risks. So if it's both a risk, then you know what? I'll take a risk on myself. So I decided I will just go back into business, But it didn't happen straight away because I spent a good 5 months feeling sorry for myself, trying to figure out what I'm going to do. And I did have temptations to go back into work because the company I worked for was actually the second largest to the Priory group of hospitals here in the UK, which is quite a big, massive, private healthcare company. And the Priory would have taken me in a heartbeat, because I was working for their competition. But that would be putting myself back into that same situation again where I'm leaving my future in someone else's hands.
So how did you have courage not to go back into that? Or what was the vision that you had or the belief that you had that you were able to push through and then jump into this new endeavor that you did?
Do you know what, Donna? It sounds simple now. I didn't realize I was doing it at the time, but now I know. I want to share this lesson with everyone listening. If you don't know what you stand for, you fall for something else. There's this saying, right? If you don't know what you stand for, you fall for something else. I made it a non-negotiable to go and work for anyone. It was just like my standards shifted. I was like, I'm not working for anyone anymore. So I said, come what may, I'm going to find a way for me to earn for myself. So getting a job wasn't even in the equation because again, I just leveled up my standards. I said, I'm not doing this. So if anyone's listening right now, the quickest way for you to shift your life is change your standards. You get what you get what you tolerate, right?
Absolutely. And this has happened to me as well. At a certain point, I went to that same realization where I was like, never again.
No.
I'm not working for anyone else, no matter what happens. And then you find a solution.
You have to. Because
that's your new premise. That's your new standard. That's your new reality.
100%.
And then you find those solutions. So what happened to you? What did you start doing?
Use what I already know, which is healthcare. As you know, the first business you mentioned about a tile and bathroom. It was actually a tile and bathroom store. And I was like, what the heck was a nurse doing? Opening up one. It just made no sense.
In hindsight,
yeah. It seemed like a good idea at the time. But if anyone's listening, I know some of your followers are entrepreneurial as well. If they're listening, use what you already know. I always say to people, what do you already know? Because if you use what you already know, then all you need to learn is how to start a business. So what did I know? Private healthcare. And I thought, well, why am I wasting my time? I might as well start my own healthcare company. So I did. I started my own healthcare business, but I did supported living for adults in the community with learning difficulties and mental health issues. And it wasn't easy. I'm not going to say it was easy, but the quick version is I was able to, for the first 6 months, I had no clients. So that was really hard. But again, know what you stand for, you fall for something else. I knew it was non-negotiable, have to make this work. And then within 12 months, I was able to double the size of the company. 2 years later, I quadrupled the income in that business. It made me financially free at the age of 31. And a millionaire 2 years later, which wasn't bad for a nurse who got fired.
Amazing. So what sort of tools did you use to be able to scale that business so quickly?
When I say quickly, this all happened over a period of, it might sound like it was quickly, but it felt like eternity. About a couple of years, 2-3 years. And realizing that there's a difference between being self-employed and being a business owner. And I was self-employed for a good chunk of my business because I realized that I was the business. If I stopped working tomorrow, everything fell apart. Because for most business
Which moment
owners,
made you realize that?
I actually remember coming home one day, just falling asleep on the couch, just sitting down there and like absolutely shattered, completely shattered, because I'd been working like a 16-hour shift in my own business. And when I got home, there was still work I needed to do. And a lot of self-employed people can align with this. You go to work and then you come back and there's all this paperwork and this and this and this and this. And I realized in that moment that I didn't have a business. I had a job with a crap boss. It didn't give me enough time off, and I thought something needs to change. It has to change. But where is most of the information held when you're running a business of your own? It's all in your head. And it's no good to anybody, because that means everybody rings you, everything's in your head. If you get sick and you can't work, how can everybody do what you do? Because they don't know what you know. So I set about taking what was in my head and going, right, I need to put it into systems, processes. I started hiring better people. Some people don't know this, actually. I took a pay cut in my own company to pay for a manager so that I can get someone else to help me manage. But again, most people won't do that.
Best decision?
100%. But again, because I knew I had vision. I wanted to be free. I didn't want to be in this position stuck. And again, some people are not willing to sacrifice. I think we're living in a world nowadays where people don't understand risk to reward or sacrifice. They just want it all to land on their laps. And I took a pay cut, like a significant pay cut, so that I could afford to pay someone else to help me run it, so that I could step back a bit and work on the business, not in it.
I think there's a lot to actually unpack there, because there's a lot of reasons why people do that. They keep it all. They choose to keep it all in their head, even though they feel overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And one of them is that sense of being needed and sense of that, you've created this. How could anyone ever replace me? So there's a bit of ego there.
Yeah.
And then there's that fear that nobody will ever know how to do it as good as me. So
Very true.
What would you tell people that have all these thoughts running through their head?
No, well, accept that no one is ever going to do it as good as you. It's just not going to happen. It's just a completely unrealistic expectation. So get that out of your head. Like, entrepreneurial people need to understand nobody is ever going to do it as good as you.
And they shouldn't, or else they would have their own company.
Yeah, but on the flip side though, it's okay to have people who can do things better than you, because not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. There are people who want to be intrapreneurial within your organization. They don't want to own their own company, but they are literally high-functioning entrepreneurial people. And if you can understand that there are people out there who genuinely want to help you, then you'll find them. But if you go around thinking that everyone's going to rip you off, steal your ideas, whatever it might, then you'll find those people too. You get what you look for in life. And I genuinely feel that if entrepreneurial people can let go, accept no one's going to do it like you, but also accept that some people can do it better than you, and hire them, hire great people, pay them well, look after them, hire great people, find the diamonds in the rough, work with them, nurture them, give them a game plan, show them longevity, show them your values, your beliefs, and let them work with you. But if you hide away from it and try to protect everything yourself, then you're going to end up really, really, really struggling. I'm telling you now.
Your business is going to be just as big as you want to keep it. So if you want to keep it all within yourself, it's going to be as big as yourself.
100%.
If you can invite more people to it, you're going to grow it.
You are the biggest chokehold on your business. Like, whatever you think about, whatever if you think someone's going to rip you off, they're going to rip you off. If you think someone's going to let you down, they're going to let you down. If you think you're broke, you're going to be broke. And that's the chokehold that we have on our businesses.
Very, very true. So fast forward, how many years now you've done this?
Gosh, so I've been working for myself since 2009. So however long that is.
So fast forward to today,
Yeah.
you've become this internationally awarded public speaker. You've scaled and created multiple businesses, and you've coached thousands of people.
Yes.
To help them grow and scale their businesses.
Yes.
So what were the mindset blocks you had to overcome in order to get to this place?
Wow, that's a good one. You know what? When I first quote unquote made it, I remember going to an event in Earls Court and watching all these speakers on stage and going, wow, that's great, I can do that. But then this little voice went off in my head and said, well, who'd want to listen to you? And I thought, where's this voice coming from? And it's coming from the fact that, I was a kid who grew up in East London, didn't have much, parents didn't have much, wore secondhand clothes, got bullied when I was young and all this kind of stuff. And I guess what that left in me was like a void, like I wasn't worthy of showing other people how to do stuff, because I don't know, it was something in my head. But then I thought, well, hang on, you've done it for yourself. By this time, I'd given a lot of people coaching for free and they've got loads of results and stuff. So I said, well, other people have done it as well. So I had to overcome myself, if I'm very honest, Dana. Like, I had to overcome my own limitations. And I think whether it's trying to coach people, help people start a business, start a new relationship, whatever it is, you've got to have a good chat with yourself. And whenever these limiting beliefs pop off, is ask yourself a very simple question. What evidence have you got to support this? And I had zero evidence to support that I wasn't worthy. There was no evidence. All the evidence showed that I was actually good at what I did and I can help other people. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to do it.
It's funny that you mentioned what you just did, because you find what you look for.
Yeah.
Always. So
100%.
If you look for something bad, you're going to always find it. If you look for something good,
absolutely,
then you're going to find it. So you had all these sort of insecurities and blockages that you had, but then you said, wait a second, actually, here are the results of the contrary.
Yeah.
So again, did something happen? Was there a significant moment that made you shift that perspective from looking at the negative to looking at the positive?
Yeah. I mean, I guess, again, I know more now than I did back then, but when you unpack it, I guess what I was doing is going, well, let's just base this on evidence. What's true? What's fantasy? And right now, thinking that I'm not good enough is technically fantasy. What's true, because I've got results to back it up, I can help people. So I guess it's awareness, Dana. If anyone's listening to this right now, one of the biggest skills you can practice is awareness. None of us are perfect. None of us are going to get it right. We all got limitations. We're all going to look. Negativity is around. We're born with it. It's something called negativity bias. A 10-month-old baby will stare at an angry face longer than a happy one. Think about that. Where does that come from? It's implanted in us. And why? Because your brain is designed to save you, to keep you safe. It's a protection mechanism from millions of years ago. That's what it is. So you're always going to be negative. Like there's always going to be something going on. But practicing awareness, can you catch yourself going, hey, you're being negative. Hey, you're looking for the problem. What's the answer? If you can practice awareness that you're doing it, then you can overcome anything.
How do you practice awareness?
By educating yourself, catching the patterns. What are the patterns? I used to do this with my patients when I was a psychiatric nurse. Whenever they had a bad day or something happened, there was an incident, whatever it might be. I go, right, what's going on right now? Like, can you keep a diary called like a mood diary? What was going on just before you had this thing happen? Were you eating certain foods? Were you hanging around certain people? Were you watching the news? What was going on? And suddenly you start to find triggers. And for me, it's the same as everyday life. Like if you're having a bad day, what's the trigger? There's always a trigger. So if you can stop and go, right, what's making me feel like this right now? What's causing this right now? Did somebody upset me? Did I watch something on the news? Did I get a phone call that I didn't like? Did I get a message from someone? Did I hear a song that reminded me of an ex-partner or whatever? Like, what was it? And you'll find that we live with triggers. There's triggers all around us. And if you can find a trigger, you'll be aware. So next time you get triggered, you're aware that's the thing that triggered me. So either remove the triggers or create a new association around it, or don't be around those triggers.
What about moments? Because, that's very relatable, but sometimes it's an accumulation of these micro triggers, these micro events, perceptions, these images that are not really strong. It's almost hard to grasp what exactly was it. It's the end of the day and you're feeling kind of crappy. It has happened to me and I have very high self-awareness. And I'm like, okay, what happened? Exactly as you said, what exactly happened here? And it's hard to even pinpoint sometimes because nothing technically bad happened. But it has happened to me that it's just an accumulation, maybe today, maybe the day before, that something didn't go the way that I planned. Somebody didn't maybe smile or all these micro things. So what do you do with those ones? There's not a trigger specifically to remove. It's just life's variables that have accumulated. Yeah. What do you do with those things?
Yeah, I think honest answer, get over yourself. That's the honest answer. Like sometimes we make things into things. And I always say to people, don't make a thing, even down to trauma. Not all trauma is bad. Like some people are unfortunately mistaking reasons for excuses and excuses for reasons. They're just getting them the wrong way around. Like something can happen to you in the past and you could tell yourself a story as to that's what's preventing me from moving forwards. Or you can tell yourself a different story that actually that's made me stronger. And I think like you said there about sitting down there going, I can't quite put my finger on it. Why am I feeling like this? Well, if you can't find something, just with all due respect,
move on.
What are you waiting? Again, you've got to sit there and worry even more now.
Yeah, don't need to solve a problem that's not there, essentially. If it's not big enough to be a problem,
this is it. This is it. Like you're already feeling crap. You can't find the reason why you're feeling crap, so you feel even more crap by looking for it. Well, why would you do that? It makes no sense.
I like that. If you had to share with me 3 of your very precious life lessons that you've picked over the years, what would you share?
Gosh, I definitely would say listen to the signs. What does that mean? It's like for example, when I launched my business and it didn't work, there was a lesson in that. What was it redirecting me to? I wasn't ready. I was young. I didn't know anything about business. I didn't really know. There's a lesson in that. It had to lead me on to working. When I lost my job, what was the lesson in that? Well, that was training ground. That was the training time I needed to regroup to actually become a proper entrepreneur. So what I'm trying to say to you is if you can listen to the signs for everything that's going on around you, like whenever something's rejecting you, maybe there's a reason for that. When you're not achieving something, maybe there's a reason for that. Can you learn to listen? Listen to the universe, listen to the world, God, whoever it is that you believe in. Listen, like just stop, pause, listen. Definitely that's one for me. The other one is understanding that life is happening for you, not to you. That's really important because I guess where that one stems from, Dana, is we're going through crazy times at the moment, as you know. Most people are going, oh my gosh, it's terrible, the economy's bad, blah, blah, blah. And then there's other people going, hey, there's so much opportunity out there. Why? Why are people doing that? It's because one group of people understand, well, this is happening for me. It's happening to teach me that I need to sort my stuff out. I need to get my finances straight, get my career straight, maybe start something new, find my purpose, find my passion, wherever it might be. And the other ones are looking for victim mode, looking for bailout, looking for someone to save them, or whatever it might be. So understand that life is happening for you, not to you. And the other big life lesson I would love everyone to just take note of is take responsibility. No one's coming to save you. Nobody. No, you can pin your hopes on your mentor, on your boss, on your employer, on your partner, on everyone. No one's coming to save you. Take responsibility for your own life. Like, most people don't take responsibility. It's like, I don't know, people will go outside, get wet in the rain and go, oh my God, I got wet because it was raining. No, you got wet because you didn't take an umbrella. That's why you got wet. But again, it's that people don't take responsibility.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
It's the same situation, but very different ways of looking at it.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, we have the power always just to assign meaning to every single thing that's happening to us. And there are very, very few actual factual truths in this life. Everything else is just our perception.
Yeah.
So if we have this great power, why not use it to our advantage? So I like what you said there, because taking personal responsibility can be scary to some people, and it can be scary, or it can be extremely empowering.
You get to choose.
Yeah, because when you take that responsibility, you are taking something, and that something is that power over your own life, or influencing your own life.
But this is the thing. So the psychology behind this is very simple, Dana. Like, when things are out of our control, like the economy goes crazy, or someone hurts you, or something goes wrong, whatever it might be, human beings are control freaks. We want to be in control. So why does it bother us when these things happen? Because we had zero control over what that person did to us, right? So one of the best things you can do to regain control is take responsibility and ask yourself, how can I respond to this? How can I prevent it from happening again? Okay, I can't control that person, but I can control how I feel. That's how you regain control. So once you're back in control, you're happy. You got what you want. But if you're pinning your hopes on controlling why that person did this to you, you'll be banging your head against a brick wall, because you're never going to be able to control why that person wronged you, harmed you, ripped you off, whatever. You can't control that. So if you want control, take responsibility.
Very, very true. Very powerful. You mentioned something that is pretty much my favorite theme, topic, question. Purpose.
Yeah.
So what is your purpose?
I'm a
Jessen?
healer. My purpose is to heal. I discovered that properly, officially, should I say, in 2018 when I did my NLP training. We went through this whole purpose thing. And it was a really crazy experience, because I went through like these 50 questions trying to figure out what's my purpose, and all these questions, significant life events, this, and this, and this. And there was like this blockage at the time, Donna. It's like this resistance that was in me. It was like, why don't I want to admit this thing? There was something like, just come out with it. And out of nowhere, I kid you not, I just burst into freaking tears. There was tears everywhere. I was like, what the hell's going on?
What was going on?
It was a release of all the pain that I've been through. I've suffered since I was a kid. So because I've experienced pain, I don't want to see other people in pain. So my role as a healer, that's where it came out. But it was almost like an acceptance that, hey, you know what? I've been hurt. I've been through pain. You know, I've been through all this stuff.
What sort of pain are we talking about?
We're talking like emotional pain, physical pain, spiritual pain, all kinds of stuff. You know, I was bullied at the age of 7 years old for the color of my skin and how I looked and all that kind of stuff. I've been through all this trauma, if you want to call it that. But I've always helped people. So even at 7 years old, I was helping people. You know, I was giving a kid in school my sandwiches every lunchtime because he didn't have any food, you know, and it's because, I was 7 years old. I don't like people bullying me. I don't like other people suffering. And that's just stuck with me. I've always helped people. But to get to the point where I've actually realized my life purpose is to heal, it all made sense, because every career I've ever been in, every job I've ever done has always had an impact on how it makes people feel. As a nurse, I was a healer. I was healing people. Now I get to heal people spiritually, emotionally, financially, physically. I'm still healing by speaking and training and coaching. I'm still hopefully making an impact on other people. So that is my purpose. It's to heal people from personal, professional, financial pain. That's what I do.
So let's talk a little bit more about what you do. So you're coaching, you're speaking, you're mentoring people. What else is happening in your day-to-day?
Gosh, where do we start? How long we got? Please understand, like, I got into coaching and mentoring and speaking because my heart led me there. It wasn't a financial decision. In fact, I was coaching people for free when I started out. It was more so, how can I make an impact? Because I'm going to say it how it is. I like to say it how it is. In the personal development industry, self-help industry, I think it's changed a lot into the help self industry, where a lot of these mentors out there or speakers are helping themselves to vulnerable people. They're promising people the world and delivering them a village if they're lucky, and selling them courses and programs that when you get there, they say, oh, you actually need this course as well and that course as well. And before you know it, there's people buying courses and courses. And who's really getting helped in this situation? The person selling the courses. And I didn't want to be part of the problem. I wanted to be part of the solution. So I used to sit in the audiences, just like, you go to these events. I used to go to these events too. I used to sit in the audiences and look at all these people moaning and complaining that, oh, this person ripped me off and this. And I said, well, do something about it. Again, take responsibility. So I thought, well, my way of doing something about it is getting on that stage. So I did. I got on that stage. So the reason I'm sharing that with you is because for me, speaking, yes, of course you can earn money from it, but it's not why I got into the industry. I have my other businesses. I've got perfume brand. I've got my fragrance brand. I've got property business. We've got software that we use. There's all these different things that we do. We've got our own franchise company. Like, I love business. I love entrepreneurship. But if you had to go, which one would I do without getting paid is this.
And does that also take most of your time?
I say at the moment, yes, but I'm fortunate to have an incredible team who I've got some incredible people in our team who I just know that I couldn't do this stuff without them at all. And again, that's leverage. You collaborate with people, you work with good people. So I get to do what I love, because if it felt like a chore, I'd stop doing it. I know me. Like, if I didn't enjoy what I do, I'd stop.
I only asked that because obviously you mentioned a lot of things, and I'm just wondering, isn't it curious that in the end, where you dedicate most of your time is the one that you most enjoy?
100%. But that's people. Unfortunately, let's be honest, Donna, I think about 80% of the population hate their job. They, like, you see them walking down the street doing what's called the corporate shuffle, right? They're just walking along like lemmings, going to the office.
Every day I'm shuffling.
Every day I'm shuffling, yeah. Walking into the office, same thing, and there's like, most people don't enjoy what they do. They don't love what they do. There's I think, I don't know if the poem goes like this, but there is this poem about the box, and it says people, they wake up in a box, they go downstairs, they eat their breakfast out of a box, they go and have a shower in a box, they go to work in a box. When they get to work, they are working in a box. They go and have lunch in a box. When they go home, they go back in the box. They go home, they watch TV, they eat dinner out of a box, and they go back to bed in a box. And when they leave this world, they leave in a box. And it's just Groundhog Day over and over and over. And they do it because they have to, not because they want to.
Or they think they have to.
Oh, that's their choice. It's like you said, perception, So you're right. They think they have to, but it's what they've been conditioned to do. I mean, society doesn't condition you to be an entrepreneur.
Which brings us back to what you just said about responsibility.
100%.
So it's your responsibility to seek alternate truth.
You have to.
And to seek that freedom. Mm-hmm.
You have to. No one's going to. But the problem is, Dana, is, again, awareness. I don't think many people are aware that they've got a choice. I don't think many people are aware that they could do something better. I don't think many people are aware they could start a business or do something for themselves. Most people they're not aware. So when the likes of you and me coach people or do a video or do a podcast or put something out there, you're creating awareness for people. You're waking them up, and then they start to go, hey, I didn't realize I could do that. Oh my gosh, that Dana lady, you hear her podcast, you hear what she said. Like, I didn't realize we could do this. So when you've got people like us out there telling people you've got choices and options, then if it goes against the mainstream, then of course people are going to try and shoot you down and say you're just, you're just giving people false hope, or you're whatever it might be. And look, I'm not here to create conspiracy theories. It's easy for
you, ...
Yeah. I'm not here to create conspiracy theories about the Matrix or whatever you want to call it. But I genuinely feel that because of a lack of awareness, people won't change. And until someone comes along like you or me or whatever and interrupts their pattern and goes, hey, you do know there's a better life. If you want, here's how you can do it. Then they won't know any different. They'll carry on going in the box.
It's very, very true. And sometimes I think it's worth speaking about what you mentioned earlier about reward and risk, because people stick to what they know because it feels safe. But is it though, really? Because yes, they know what they're going after. They know that they're going to be working in this job. They're not going to get the salary. That's going to be the increase. Yeah. However, obviously, no job security, like banks are getting bankrupt, etc. But most of all, the price that you pay by not pursuing those little flashes that you get every now and then of that vision of who you could be is too high.
Yeah.
It means that you quite literally live somebody else's life. You're working for somebody else's dream.
Unfortunately.
And that's the real risk.
It is.
Not the risk that you take when you actually embark on that crazy endeavor and that crazy idea. And yes, why we're having these conversations as well is I want to showcase and shine a light on people's journeys, because they're not straightforward. It's not like you started out and you're like, oh, I'm going to be this amazing entrepreneur, millionaire. And the first attempt you tried doing that, you succeeded.
No way.
Not at all.
No
like
way.
there was this whole meandering carousel of things happening.
That is business.
Yeah.
That is it. That is it. But it's worth it. It's worth it. And you enjoy it more. It's like earn $1 million or win $1 million. I know which one I'll enjoy more, because I'll respect more, should I say, that, you know, because the people look at lottery winners, why they broke like 2 years later.
Exactly. You'll not only respect it more and enjoy it more, you'll know how to manage it, which is the most important thing. Yeah. Because I was just about to say that the lottery winners, if they already didn't have money and they were in poor financial situation, it's because they didn't know how to manage money in the first place. So if you give them a couple of £1 million, it's the same situation.
That's right.
The likelihood of them mismanaging that is very, very high. So then that brings them into a place of misery that's even worse than they were before.
100%. But again, it's choices. We all get to choose. And like you said, you know, some people live their whole life and then regret it later on. And, you know, and look, at the end of the day, you mentioned it. I would say be more afraid of where you are right now, not what you need to do. Like, what's going to change? All these people, like, I'm not saying this to be mean, but I meet a lot of people who come to my events or I meet at, you know, at networking events, wherever it might be. And they're all complaining about the cost of living crisis and the bills are going up and this and this and this. And I say, look, your bills going up by £300, £400, £500 a month isn't the problem. The problem is you're worried about £300, £400, £500. That's the problem. Why did you get yourself into a situation where an increase like that bothers you? Make more. Bulletproof yourself.
Responsibility.
Take responsibility, financial certainty. You know, but people don't like it. And they'll say, oh, you're big-headed, or you're this, or you're that, or whatever it might be. You know, it's just like when I was on TV, I was on Rich House, Poor House, and they were trying to make me say stuff about money that I didn't believe. They were trying to make me, make the poor look really bad and the rich. I said, look, if you're born poor, it's definitely not your fault. If you die poor, it's a choice. You get to choose, okay? Now, I know there's certain people that don't get opportunities because of their demographics and the things that they go through, and I'm not saying this is the truth for everyone, but in modern society, like in the UK, for example, how can you possibly go broke? How? There is so much money. We're in London at the moment. There's money everywhere, absolutely everywhere. How can you possibly go broke in a country where you have resources in abundance? You've got the internet, you can get startup loans for a company, you can get grants, you can get funding, you can get technology, it's given to you on a plate, literally. All you got to do is work. Most people don't want to work. So then they'll stay poor and then they'll point fingers at you and me and go, look at you, it's easy for you, blah, 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 blah. Choices.
Absolutely. And it's all down to mindset. In the 100%. End of the day, because they're like, oh yeah, but I don't know how to learn. Yeah. Oh yeah, but you know, other people are doing it. Be better.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's going to take a long time. Well, the time is going to pass anyway.
Yeah. But this is it. Again, it's a story, Dana. Like, everyone's got a story. And that story can either empower you or that story can disempower you. You get to choose. But all these stories about it's hard, it's not easy, it's difficult, the economy, you don't know my life, da 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 da. They're all stories. You know, every single one of them are stories. It's like even down to people saying that they feel down, depressed, low, like I'm stressed. Well, again, they're stories. Like, honestly, like, again, I'm an ex-psychiatric nurse, you know, so talking about depression, for example, like I don't believe in it. I believe people feel depressed. I don't believe people have depression. It's when people say I've got depression, I'll say, well, give it to me then. Where is it? Where is it? Take it out of your pocket. Where is it? It's not a thing. It's a state of mind led by your focus, because I don't care how depressed you are. Let's say a parent is depressed right now and their child is about to die in front of them. Are they going to sit there and say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm depressed and I'll just let my child die? Or they're going to spring into protection mode? They're going to protect their child. Where's your depression gone in that moment? Gone. Why? Because your focus shift. It's the same for people out there. You can sit there and go, woe me, look at me, my life's a mess. Or you could change your focus and go and do something about it. But people don't want to hear that, because it's much easier to say I'm depressed. It's much easier to say I'm low. It's much easier to say that my life is bad. It's so much easier to blame than it is to take responsibility. And that's why most people are stuck.
So what would you say is your advice to people that have now this awareness and they want to take that responsibility, but up until now they've been into this blaming, responsibility shifting mode.
Again, you said if they've got awareness already, then practice it.
Well, they're listening to this and they're like, okay, fine. Maybe I am the problem.
Okay.
Now what?
Good. Get help. Okay. Reach out to you. Reach out to someone. I don't know. Get a mentor. Because sometimes you go, right, I have awareness. I think I have been using excuses. No one's going to come and save me. I've got to take responsibility for myself. But how, Dana? I don't know how. Great. Find a mentor. What a great question to ask. How? Find out. You don't know how? Google it. I don't care. Figure it out. But again, with awareness, if you take responsibility and go, right, I want to change my life, and ask yourself a better question. How can I change my life? You'll find the answers, because I genuinely believe God, the universe, the creator, whoever you believe in, created Google before Google did. And it's in your head. If you tell yourself, why is this always happening to me? Your human Google will find 100 reasons why this is happening to you.
I love that you said that, because it points to the importance of asking the right questions.
Absolutely.
And why I love this even more is now we have a perfectly tangible example in real life, ChatGPT.
Yep.
Guys, present and future is all about asking the right
Asking the right
questions.
Amen. That's it.
Ask and you shall receive.
That's what it's always been. Ask. You don't know, ask. And if ask yourself, it's funny when people are panicking, they go, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I'm like, keep asking that. That's a good question. Because it forces your brain to go, what do I do? Okay, I should go and do this. I should go and do that. So it's all about questions. You can ask better questions or terrible questions. You'll find the answers, So quality questions get you quality results. So yeah, how can I do it? Ask yourself. So if you're sitting at home right now going, okay, I'm listening, Jess, I'm listening, Dana, I hear you. Maybe I have been using excuses. I'm fed up of living the way I'm living right now. I don't like my job. I don't like what I'm doing, whatever it might be. Then great, you've got awareness now. What are you going to do about it? Because you'll wake up tomorrow with the same story. Nothing changes. So what are you actually going to do about it? Do something. Even if you don't know. Like I meet lots of people go, I want to get fitter, but I don't know where to start. Run. Go outside. I don't care. Jog on the spot. Jump up and down. Move. Do something. But all these stories, I don't know how. Really? Most people know how to get fit. There's not one person that doesn't know. Eat less, move more. That's it. It's very simple. Okay? But they won't do it because they'll use this story.
People like to overcomplicate things, right? The most simple things.
Don't overcomplicate it. Just start. Start and get better later,
Okay. So with this, I think one of the troubles that people have most of all, or at least like to pinpoint all their misery towards, is their financial situation. So you specialize in taking businesses from zero to £1 million per annum. That is a very big promise. Exactly how do you do that?
Well, I don't like to say zero per se, because nothing is zero. You got to come with an idea, a concept, something viable, and then understand that the same effort it takes to make 10,000 is the same effort it will take to make 100, and the same effort it makes 100 is the same to make 500,000, and so on and so on. It all requires work. But if your focus is on, right, how do I get to 1 million straight away, then you're going to get stuck. Why? Because it's too big of a gap. So what's the first milestone for you? 5 figures, right? Let's hit 5. Let's work on that. Can I help you get here? Then we can talk about that. If we get to 5, it creates a new belief for you, because in order to create a new belief, you've got to create a new experience. If you've never experienced running a 7-figure business, then of course you're not going to think it's possible. But if we can work on these micro goals, these little chunks first, then you can baby step yourself into that. Because once you make your first 5 figures, you're like, great, who do I need to invest in? What do I need to do right now to get to 6? When you get to 6, you got to shift your mindset as well. Because even 6, like 100 grand is not a business, it's a hobby. It is, because you can just go out of business tomorrow. So what do you need to do next? Right, what do I need to hire people? Do I need to get systems? Do I need to invest in more marketing? What do I need to do? And it's like, as they say, new level, new devil. So for me, the most strategic way that I can help people do that is go, let's do it in steps. Okay. Once you get to your 5 figures, come and talk to me. Let's look at how we can get you to 6. Because the problems you've got between 0 to 5 figures are different to the problems you've got from 5 to 6. So it's pointless giving you this roadmap to get to 7. Let's get you here first. We can get you here. I've got a product, Jess. It's selling. People are work, but I need to scale now, to grow now. Great. New problem. Here's a new solution.
Hi there. I hope you're enjoying this episode. You can listen to the full audio version for free on your favorite podcast app. And if you are enjoying this video version, I invite you to join my exclusive Patreon community to support the making of the show and to unlock a ton of exclusive content, such as the full video episodes, bloopers, some controversial topics, and more personal questions from the guests, and much more. Link is in the description below.